Say it ain't so. Fresh headlines. Ilhan Omar did marry her brother and said she would do what she had to do to get him papers to keep him in U.S., reveals Somali community leader. Huh. The things people do for love. This is a fascinating topic. If you go back way before she was elected, people were reporting this rumor. And if you remember recently, the FBI is reviewing claims that Ilhan Omar married her brother, and I believe they referred those to other departments. And of course, there are the ethics violations for campaign finance and tax filings. But let's get to this article fresh off the interwebs. Ilhan Omar told friends years ago that the man who went on to become her second husband was in fact her brother. DailyMail.com can confirm. Abdi Hakim Osman was the first person to go on record to speak of how Omar said she wanted to get her brother papers so he could stay in the United States. It's long been rumored Omar and Ahmed Elmi were siblings, but because of a lack of paperwork in war-torn Somalia, proof has never been uncovered. That's probably one of the many reasons that Somalia is part of the so-called travel ban that President Trump put into effect is you don't know who those people are. You just know who they say they are. Case in point, Ilhan Omar. Osman said, she said she needed to get papers for her brother to go to school. We all thought she was just getting papers to allow him to stay in this country. Omar was married to her second husband, Elmi, in 2009 by a Christian minister, although she is a Muslim. I don't know how Islam thinks about that. Probably not good. She was first married to Ahmed Hirsi in 2002 in a Muslim ceremony before they split in 2008. But she later had another child with Hirsi while legally wed to Elmi. Now that is an interesting dynamic, and I believe if you go back you'll find they all lived together at the same time. Also weird. Osman said, when Hirsi and Ilhan got married, a lot of people were invited. It was a big Islamic wedding uniting two large clans in the community. He added, when she married Elmi, no one even knew about it. No one knew there had been a wedding until the media turned up the certificate years later. Wah, wah, wah. So, reading on, Squad Congressman Ilhan Omar told friends years ago that the man who went on to become her second husband was in fact her brother. And now, for the first time, one of those friends has come forward to reveal exactly how Omar and Ahmed Elmi scandalized the Somali community in Minneapolis. They did more than scandalize them. She's a sitting member of Congress. Kind of a scandal there. You know, I don't know how Congress feels about marrying your in-laws or immigration fraud, or what that'll do to her legal status in this country. Abdi Hakim Osman was the first person to go on record to speak how Omar said she wanted to get her brother papers so he could stay in the United States at a time when she was married to her first husband, Ahmed Hirsi. Hardly anyone realized that meant marrying him. Interesting. Osman's revelations are sure to renew calls for an investigation in the Minnesota freshman representative who has repeatedly refused to answer questions on her marriage to Elmi. She originally said that the spouses were also siblings were baseless, absurd rumors accusing journalists of Islamophobia, which she does whenever she's accused of anything, but has stayed quiet since. Is that because she also just recently had a divorce because wasn't she the one who was having an affair with someone else and her staffer's marriage broke up, or consultant's marriage broke up? Here she is with, It's long been rumored that Omar and Elmi, the guy pictured, are siblings, but because of a lack of paperwork in war-torn Somalia, positive proof has never been uncovered. Again, there's a reason we ban people from certain countries. It's because you can't properly vet people who are coming in if the host country, the parent country, doesn't actually keep records of anything. Abdi Hakim Osman left with Hirsi and right with Omar as the first person to go on record to speak of how Omar wanted to get her brother papers so he could stay in the United States. Now, if he's an immediate family member, there's immigration rules for that. Although if you're married, it goes much faster. Her spokesman told DailyMail.com that Omar, 37, does not comment on her family or her personal life. Congresswoman is focused on the work her constituents sent her to Washington to accomplish. I'm not sure what that would be. Omar married her first husband, yada, yada, yada. Their first child, Israel, was born the following year, and a second followed. But in the late 2000s, Elmi appeared in Minneapolis, said Osman, who referred to Hersey by his nickname Southside throughout the interview. People began noticing that Ilhan and Southside were often with a very effeminate young guy. Osman said, who spoke in Somali through an interpreter, he was very feminine in the way he dressed. He would wear light lipstick and pink clothes and very, very short shorts. In the summer, people started whispering about him. Hersey and Ilhan both told me it was Ilhan's brother and he had been living in London, but he was mixing with what were seen as bad influences that the family did not like. So they sent him to Minneapolis to rehab. Now, Osman, who runs a popular Facebook blog called Zerda Sheikh, which comments on Somali issues, said that Omar kept her marriage to Elmi quiet, with no one from the Somali community invited to the wedding. He explained, when Hersey and Ilhan got married, a lot of people were invited. It was a big Islamic wedding, uniting two large clans in the Minneapolis community. I'd say there were 150 people there. He said, when she married him, no one even knew about her marrying Elmi. Osman said at the time Hersey was better known than Omar among Somalis. He was a footballer. He promoted a lot of Somali shows. He was very popular. So the scandal was about Hersey's brother-in-law more than Ilhan's brother. It has long been rumored that Omar and Elmi are brother and sister, but because lack of a paperwork in war-torn Somalia, where they were both born, positive proof of their relationship has never been uncovered. So what does it all mean? Probably nothing. It's still a rumor. The guy can testify all he wants. He can, all you have is an accusation without a DNA test, which obviously she's never going to consent to. And her brother, who's working in Africa with her sister, he will never consent to it. So they're never going to be able to prove it. Again, which is all the more reason why Trump put a ban in effect in Somalia and many other countries. You can't vet the people coming in. So this article goes on to go and repeat many of the same things. Although it looks like ICE and the Department of Education are actually investigating this. Anyone found guilty of committing marriage fraud faces up to 5 years in jail and a fine up to $250,000. Obviously, if she's found guilty of this and the investigation yields something, she's probably going to lose her congressional seat. That's going to be awkward. Do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. I don't have a lot of faith in ICE, despite, Ilhan Omar hating ICE or the Department of Education to actually follow this through, mainly because of so many unelected bureaucrats who have dug themselves in like ticks and don't really, feel like holding anyone in Congress accountable, especially not the House of Representatives who, writes budgets. But we'll see. Should the FBI talk to the guy? Sure, why not? The worst that could happen is they find the truth, or, it gets officially debunked and they wash their hands clean of it. Kind of like when Comey went on national TV and told everyone that even though Hillary Clinton did mishandle classified information, she didn't mean to do anything wrong, so it's not really a crime. Which I'm sure a whole bunch of people who were in prison for mishandling classified information found super legit and consistent with, the rule of law that the Democrats espouse. As a refresher, FBI reviewing claims Ilhan Omar married her brother. Again, the media was pretty silent on this, right? Fox, CNN. I mean, it's kind of trashy when you're like, hey, that's just a nasty rumor that can't be proven, like, when Obama's birth certificate nonsense came up or whatever. That there's no way that could ever be true. But stranger things have happened. I mean, we had a senator, remember the Kennedys in Chappaquiddick when guy drove off a cliff and that girl died in his car and the media was like, oh, we don't care. So is it outside the realm of possibility? No, especially for a woman who just broke up another dude's marriage by having an affair. Yeah, it's not outside the realm of possibility. Will the Democrats do anything about it? Probably not. And again, it's not the only investigation to Ilhan Omar. Campaign finance rule violations. This one is like literally meaningless. I won't even bother reading it because even if they find her guilty of ethics violations, she's going to face like a $500 fine, which, when people are throwing hundreds of thousands and tens of thousands of dollars at you. Like, Congress gets hit with ethics violations all the time. It doesn't really, it's like one of the most useless punishments I've ever seen. It's almost like Congress having a resolution saying we don't like you. Like, who cares? Like, this is nothing. Until something concrete happens, it's just a rumor and speculation. Does it look bad? Yup. Will it undermine her credibility or hinder her official actions? No. Unless, of course, something actually comes up in an investigation. But, that would depend on the Department of Justice actually doing its job. And, I don't know. Andrew McCabe, found guilty of lying under oath many, many times. They blatantly identified it in reports, and they said, it's not worth prosecuting him. He lied under oath. But the same Department of Justice thinks it's a good idea to throw Michael Flynn in prison for lying under oath and false official statements. Like, really? The consistency in the Department of Justice is like nothing. But interesting heads up, something to read about and think about the next time Ilhan Omar goes on about her rants about her moral perfection, and the squad is talking about how righteous they are and how good they are. It's like, no, you have questionable morals and ethics. But more to the point, the people in Minneapolis should probably look more closely at who they elect, because I'm pretty sure this was reported by the media, local media, and no one cared. But just remember, your votes have consequences, and the people you do elect are going to affect not just your area, but if it's Congress, they're going to affect the whole country. So you have a right to vote, use it wisely, and actually pay attention to who you're voting.